Did you ever wonder why the Sims 2 creators made such an effort writing descriptions? And have you actually ever read them? Today we're diving into the weird, hilarious and surprisingly deep world of Sims 2's artwork, one description at a time. Hi Simmers! Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to my channel. So first, let's take a look at this piece, Lifestyle of the Pharaoh picture. You can get this piece for only 750 simoleons, and the description reads: Pyramid lover, fascinated by wealth, cruelty and oppression, can't get enough of sand. We love to encourage all your eccentricities, and there's no better way to appreciate the past than the lifestyle of the Pharaoh painting. It's a reminder of glorious times gone by, and perhaps a glimmer of your own impending greatness. Well. I think that this entire description is directed at us, the players, because we are in control. But let's dive into that. First and foremost, this painting is going to give you 6 environment points. But if we take a look at the painting itself, I think, like I just said, that this is directed as us players. Because it's our game, and if we play our cards right, greatness is impending. For our gameplay, at least. And also, when just looking at it, the people in this piece are gamers with snacks and controllers, headphones. They have game options, icons, and they wear casual clothes. And then they're also just carved into sandstone and preserved for eternity. So I think that this is such a meta reference, playing with the notions that we players act as deities of a sort when we control our games. And I love the fact that Simmers have some sort of religious awareness, because if they choose to decorate their houses with relics of the existence of us controlling players, well, then they know. Or, of course, the game developers wanted it to look that way, which adds both lore and awareness into this game. I'm all in for it. And if we take a look at the ancient style of this piece, I think it's a reference to how popular culture tends to romanticize ancient Egypt. Because if we take a look at the wording of this description, we have wealth, cruelty and oppression and glorious times gone by, and they are of course contradictory because it's praising and criticizing the same time, making it exactly a joke on how Western culture glamorizes ancient Egypt. And the last note is also that it pokes fun of the idea that using historical imagery to signal status or ambition. Because the line about a glimmer of your own impending greatness suggests that this piece is maybe less about appreciating history and more about projecting personal grandeur, like decorating your place with empire chic to feel important. So the idea of buying a Pharaoh lifestyle painting to express your fascination with sand and pyramids is a dig of how people consume exotic cultures with both souvenirs and themed decor, while also not quite glossing over the realities of potential slavery, oppression and despotism. And here with the next piece that I've picked out, we stay in the ancient style decor because I've picked out the Wall of Significant Confusion. And you can acquire this piece for 790 simoleons. The description reads: This archaeological relic was discovered in a year that had less than 4 digits for sure. It's like really old. And it's got pictures on it and stuff. Old pictures. They probably represent something that happened a long time ago. Scientists conclude that it most likely has something to do with Laganophilis simnovori. Well, you'll get 6 environment points out of this piece. And I think that it's a reference to the confusion that Simmers must feel when meeting the cow plant, and also a parody on how Simmers can watch another Sim take the cake and die, and still line up to take the next cake and also get eaten. So the Simmers confusion is due to a lack of causal thinking and the probability of something happening. So my first thought when seeing this piece was that it's a societal critique of the lemming effect, or like herd behavior, because it refers to the tendency that people follow the crowd or imitate others, even when those actions may be irrational or risky or harmful. So yeah, you might just have witnessed your fellow sim die, but that shiny cake coming out of a weirdly mutated plant does look delicious. So it implies that curiosity, greed, and herd behavior is as old as civilization and that it has always killed off Sims. And if we take a look at the aesthetics of this piece, this ancient Egyptian carving in sandstone, I think it's a parody on pseudo-intellectual archaeology and the vague mystique of ancient artifacts. Because even though this piece looks like real-world archaeological discoveries, I mean like Egyptian hieroglyphs or Sumerian wall carvings and Mayan stelas, the description is confusing and totally nonchalant. So real ancient findings would of course be interpreted through careful study, and this piece offers, it's got pictures on it and stuff, old pictures. So obviously it's meant to mock academic vagueness and the mystique of law and conspiracy. And in my opinion, it just sounds like a tired undergrad or teenager trying to just squeeze in a little bit of studying at the end of the day. And in the same matter, I think that the description offers a satire on how popular media oversimplifies archaeology. Because we have these unnamed history magazines. Another thing is the Indiana Jones movies. And also, I guess, Dan Brown's books, the Robert Langdon books, that I really love, so no judgment here. But, you know, here we have an example of how popular media oversimplifies archaeology. And with those pop culture phenomena in mind, an entire academic field is reduced to important stuff from long ago. So it mocks the way ambiguous historical artifacts just get loaded with speculative meaning, even when we actually don't know what they were there for. And by adding the cow plant into this, the piece adds lore and myth to a beloved career reward. So this next piece is less ancient, but very perfect for the finer rooms. It's Rue de Fleurs by Claude Magnus. And you can acquire this piece for 2,250 simoleons. So it's a bit steep. Let's take a look at the description. This lovely painted scene uses a sweet, innocent image of a flower-lined street to invoke a feeling of calm appreciation from any art appreciator. Sturdily framed in one of 3 classic choices, Rue de Fleurs is often considered one of Magnus's most stirring works and deserves a place above most, if not all, discerning mandals. And this piece will give you 10 environment points. So if we take a look at this, I feel like the painting has strong similarities to Claude Monet's and also Renoir's and Camille Pissarro's paintings with flower arrangement and so that have kind of similar colors. And also we have the name, and I guess that is a hint, because Claude Magnus does sound quite similar to Claude Monet, and Magnus means big or mighty in Latin, and that might be pointing to Monet's huge fame and recognition. The painting describes it as invoking a feeling of calm appreciation, and I guess that it's clearly meant to represent the kind of pleasant, flower-filled street scene that you might find in an impressionist postcard. And the title, Rue de Fleurs, is French for Street of Flowers, and the style of the name is also, I guess, a bit of a parody of how any painting with flowers, cobblestones, and pastel tones gets framed as serene and cultured. And also just the use of French in the title adds to this culturated, highbrow image. And then we have the line, the idea that it deserves a place above most, if not all, discerning mantles. I love that. And Well, I guess it's a jab at how some people use the place where the painting is hung as a marker of its value. So it's making fun of elitist taste, as if Rue de Fleur is the holy grail of respectable home decor. And then we have phrases like, invokes a feeling of calm appreciation from any art appreciator. Well, it's quite pompous, isn't it? It sounds like gallery speak, but again, it mocks how even the most generic, pleasant landscape, well, it's hyped up with the exaggerated reverence in catalogs or interior design blurbs. So, yeah, this painting becomes a symbol of good taste, not necessarily because it's profound, but because it's inoffensive, pretty, and French sounding. 10 out of 10 environment points. Okay, and this piece that I've included as well made me laugh, and that is the Sent to My Room Without Dinner by Pixel. And you can get this piece for only, well, kinda only 900 simoleons. The description reads, Pixel was only 6 years old when he painted Sent to My Room Without Dinner. The dean of the Simplovian Art and Design College was quite impressed with the painting and quickly snatched Pix from his home to study at SAD. It wasn't until several decades later that Pix finally received the approval he sought when at last his father brought him his dinner. You'll get 6 environment points from this painting. And, well, it's a layered satire of this tortured artist trope. It's hinting to pretentious art world narratives and the obsession with childhood prodigies. Because it most definitely dives into that tortured childhood equals a genius trope, and the title and the backstory is a joke on the romanticized idea that great artists must suffer, especially in their childhoods. And being sent to my room without dinner is a comically mild trauma, I guess. And here is inflated to mythical proportions, as if it birthed a masterpiece. Yeah, well, sigh. And I think it might also be a jab at modern pedagogy, where the everyday reprimands of earlier generations might be considered traumatic experiences today. But yeah, anyway, it mocks how the art world sometimes over-dramatizes minor childhood angst as profound and formative. And then we have Pixel, and yes, we are getting back to this name, who painted this at only 6 years old and was snatched from his home by a design college dean. And yes, I guess that this is the exaggeration of how prodigies are sometimes treated like rare specimens. I think it's a jab at how institutions sometimes rush to claim these young talents, turning them into commodities before they are old enough to say no. And the name of this place, SAD, the Simplovian Art and Design College, is of course a joke on this, because the acronym spells SAD, if we haven't already noticed that, which again perfectly matches the melodrama of the painting's title. So it is a parody of the kind of art schools that take themselves very, very seriously while nurturing what can sometimes be seen as overwrought or obscure talent. And then we have the punchline, of course, that decades later his father brought him his dinner, which is very absurd and a bit dark, because it is a satire on the stereotype of these artists who seek parental validation their whole lives, making the moment of approval literal and here tragically pathetic, in my opinion at least. And then we have it. The name Pixel sounds like pixel, spoken awkwardly, or maybe like classy, Pixel. And it's a wink at the digital art that this is. Well, I guess it's fun because it's a PC game, so it's a bit like of an inception to have a painting painted by a pixel in a game that's displayed on pixels. Alternatively, I guess it could be a parody on the tradition of stylized artist names, like Banksy, lending this mystique to the creator. And if we take a look at the painting, or the look of the painting itself, I feel like it seems similar to Gustav Klimt, The Kiss from 1907 to 1908, because the artwork is a mix of symbolism and this Vienna Jugend style, which is the Austrian variant of Art Nouveau. And Klimt depicts his subject as mythical figures made modern by luxuriant surfaces and up-to-the-moment graphic motifs. So a perspective could be that it's a reference to these child prodigies like Basquiat or Picasso, whose childhoods were like mythologized. And then again, we have this clever and dark, funny humor of art world myth-making and how artists are born, and how a minor childhood punishment can spawn an entire career. And with that note, thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for other videos. Bye!